Why do you get a hangover after drinking?
Hey! We're recording the podcast! Shut up!
Good morning to you, wherever you are, because it is
Morning somewhere!
for July 30th, 2026. Nailed that one. My name is Bernie Burns. Sitting right over there, she's not even a little bit hungover. It's Ashley Burns. Say hi to Ashley, everybody.
That's because one of us went to bed at a sensible time, and one of us hung out with a bunch of friends,
Yes.
drinking drams of whiskey
We
all
had
night.
some whiskey last night. Also some beer. So,
What time did you come to bed?
Do
Do I want to know?
No, at 1 o'clock, 1 a.m.
Okay, it's not so bad.
Not bad. And we're recording this
I'm
bright and
actually-
early in the morning.
I got to say, I'm actually really impressed that your friends made it until 1 a.m. because that's the trick when people come here. Usually is they're so exhausted by having taken all the red eyes and all the connections and everything
Correct.
that if you can keep them up till like 8 or 9 p.m., you consider yourself a winner and everyone goes to bed.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But no, I said, oh, great, you guys made it till 10 o'clock. And they're like, what do you mean? We made it till 10 o'clock. And then we just kept going until 1. So, some people faded out sooner. Some guys in the group are legendary within our group for being able to just rally. Like, there's one guy in particular who just seems to be unsinkable, you know?
It's like, what, you guys only got 2 wins?
I had that for a long time. Where I never had a hangover. I never had a headache for a long time. We were talked about this. I don't think I had a headache until I was like 28.
Man,
Honestly.
how would it be?
I just like people would talk about headaches, and I'm like, it's like it's inside of your head, you know. It had
The
like
inside of your head hurts and you can't do
like
anything about it?
tooth pain and stuff like that. It was just wasn't a thing that I dealt with. Which I know there's people who really deal with headaches, and I feel for you. I have to deal with the pain of having an enormous cock and balls, but that's my cross to bear. Sorry, I'm a little slow today, but I don't get super hungover. Nonetheless, I would love to hear people's hangover cures. I think being in Austin, we had the world's greatest hangover cure, which was just breakfast tacos and or migas.
Well, breakfast tacos, they're not just a hangover cure. They'll fix anything. If you lost a limb, have a breakfast taco. It'll be back.
I asked these guys last minute. I said, they said to me, anything we can bring. And I said, well, I was just in the U.S., so no. And then I went back after like a few minutes. I go, you know what? If you got time, why don't you grab some tortillas? Because we're going to be cooking down at the fishing beat.
Right. And the tortillas that we have access to are literally El Paso. Like the El Paso brand of tortillas. That's like literally the entire sort of like Mexican section is all like, it's like El Paso fajita kits and like
Yep.
El Paso,
Old El Paso.
taco shells, old El Paso. And it's like, that's it. You want salsa? Bam, there you go. But that's the extent.
It's also fair to say it's the UK version of Old El Paso, so we're not even getting like the genuine Old El Paso from the original source.
I would say that's fair.
Yeah, this is like the international version of it. And I said, yeah, if you guys can pick up some tortillas, that would be great. How many tortillas did they bring? 130 tortillas?
It's a lot of tortillas. You got some work to do.
We have a wealth of tortillas at the moment. But I found out you can freeze them, so that's good.
Perfect.
We got all different kinds as well. I miss good tortillas from Texas.
Are any of the ones that you need to cook?
No, I told them not to bring those because they had to be refrigerated.
They do.
And-
You made the swing to bring those one time. You brought remember you brought a refrigerated bag home, and you brought me. Like anyone searching you would have been like, "The fuck
fuck's wrong with you?"
is she pregnant?" Because it was the HEB tortillas that you have to cook.
They're ready to cook is what they're called. They're
Yeah.
so good. You put them on a cast iron pan and you watch them bubble up and you get like a fresh tortilla.
Amazing,
They're amazing.
amazing.
Yeah.
And breakfast sausage. Like one of those,
Jimmy
like,
Dean's, yeah.
one of those tubes of Jimmy Dean breakfast sausage, because I'm not sure how to find that here. I think I might have to just go buy sausage and decase it. Bernie, with your hand up.
Have you tried Lorne's sausage, the square sausage that Scotland is known for?
I've tried it. It's not the same as American breakfast sausage.
Copy.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the spice mix is in American breakfast sausage, but it's
I think it's just
specific.
pepper. Honestly, I think it's black pepper that goes
really?
in there. I think so. I don't know.
Well, maybe we can replicate it pretty easy.
I don't want to take a tour of the Jimmy Dean sausage factory. I don't think they give open tours to the public.
I'm not sure I even dare read the ingredient list.
We could crib their recipe from them. You remember what the other thing I brought for you was?
What was the other thing?
American cheese. And last on the list is your thing, which is just, I accept that you eat this and it's no problem. is I got you a sheet of Nestle cookie dough.
Yeah, it was
and
the
you
one.
just
It was the Toll House.
Toll House. That's what it is. Yeah, Toll House cookie dough, and you just eat the little squares.
I just take one square off at a time. And I'm like, that's the cookie.
They do make a tub version of that.
I know.
That's too much.
I know that's too much. And I also acknowledge that you're not supposed to eat it like that. And that I am taking my health in my own hands at that point, and it's worth it.
Something I really admire about you is when you were pregnant, you just never did anything that was even slightly sketch. Once you're not pregnant, though, everything's out the window. It's like raw eggs, cookie dough, earthworms, everything. You just eat whatever you want to.
Yeah, I felt lucky during pregnancy that I didn't have any of the weird cravings that you hear stories about. I never craved dirt, which is apparently like a kind of a signal that you're missing some really important minerals.
Yeah.
And that your body's trying to get you, is so desperate for minerals, it's trying to get you to eat dirt. I never had anything where I'm like, I would like ice cream with ketchup on it. I never had any issues like that. So I consider myself lucky that I was like, no, I liked mostly normal stuff. I just liked a lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we were up late. We have a little tradition that we do that I started, which is I got a bottle of whiskey when I moved here. The first time they came to visit. That is, it's from the year, was distilled in the year that we all met. And so we have this one bottle of whiskey that we only get out when we're all together. Or if one person comes to visit us, I share a dram with that person, and then we send a photo to everybody else. But like I've carded that bottle internationally a couple different times now.
You took it back to the States for some important occasions.
Yeah, one of the guy's kids got married, and so I surprised everybody and had the bottle there. And then just even we got together for a SEC football game and got it out for that. So
Just the important, like, seminal life moments.
yeah, exactly. Wedding and UT football, you know? The important shit.
The milestones.
But it's fun. So we got to do that. But it's working its way down to the bottle now. So we'll have to replace. And the further out we go, the more expensive that bottle becomes.
Right. Are you just going to buy yourself a case?
But dude, fuck no. Are you kidding me? Do we want a mortgage? Yeah, to do that? No, but we'll figure it out. But I want to talk a little bit about yesterday's podcast. First of all, we got some flack about just believing Sam Altman about the singularity. I don't know how do we qualify conversations with the audience? I recall us starting that conversation by qualifying very heavily what we were talking about, saying this guy is clearly searching for a headline in investment, talking about this stuff. But then we talked in general about the singularity because it's an interesting topic to talk about. I just say this. I don't know how to qualify for people who just want to show up and be mad about something. So just good luck to you. That's all I'll say. You know?
Yeah, and I want to be clear that we don't think that we're in the singularity. I would say it's more the discussion. The idea of the singularity is an interesting idea, and it's interesting to talk about that idea, not that we are factually in the singularity.
And it's interesting that a guy who's at the forefront of this AI quote industry is saying it like in a public interview. He's saying that we're in it, which is just something that hadn't happened before. But I don't believe in Sam Altman at all. I think Sam Altman's weird. You know what I love? And I'd love to go back in time. Like if we had one of those F5 save points, I'd love to go back to when Tim Walz, the VP candidate for Kamala Harris, when he had a moment where I feel like he figured it out, where he would just started talking about his opponents like, they're just weird. They're weird people, like talking about them.
He'd be like, they did that, huh? Well, that's kind of weird.
He kept just saying weird, and it was getting under people's skin and stuff like that. And I thought it was great. Like, it was finally just like felt like a normal person going like, this is just weird. This is what's going on. This is fucking weird. And I feel like that all the time. When I look at these billionaires, trillionaires, whatever, all the time, I'm just like, they're just weird. They're just weird people. You know?
You don't even need to go into it. Like, they're just weird. Like they look like they just put on a human suit for the first time. They're trying to figure it out.
Oh my God.
It's like, it doesn't even have to go that far. Although it does seem like that sometimes. You can just go, it's a bit weird. It's just off.
Guy who does he probably does it on TikTok and everyone else reposts it on every other short form, which is a thing now. But he plays like Zuckerberg's assistant backstage, like trying to coach him through what he's talking about. And it's like just every time if I was going to interview Mark Zuckerberg, I would ask like one question and then just not say another word and have awkward silences and just make him talk. The longer that guy talks, he just starts to say the weirdest shit. It's just weird. Did you see his whole interview where he talked about trying to make perfect beef?
Zuckerberg?
Like, I think they just
was-
asked him, what's your hobby? And he goes, I'm attempting to make perfect beef. That's what he does with his spare time.
Is this where his like the weird sweet baby Ray's meme came from?
That's way in the rearview mirror at this point.
So this is a no interview?
This is like eugenics for cattle now is where we're at with this guy. Like, he's going to make the perfect beef. And then he like talks about raising these
I
cattle.
thought Japan already did.
And then like sample their flesh. And he didn't say that. But, but it's like, just let the guy talk. Let him talk.
Do you think there's anything in the beef industry that's like in the whiskey industry where in the whiskey industry, you can drop a little, the copper dog down into a cask and pull out a sample. And that's how they decide if the cask is ready, right? They'll like smell it, maybe do a little taste, and they'll be like, this cask is ready. And they know. Is there anything like that for a cow? Can you just like
doing a cheese sample, like a core out of the middle?
Just like, can you just like, just dig into a shoulder a little bit and go, yeah, I think it's ready. Or do you just have to look at the cow and go, he seems weird. And he's ready to go. He's ready to go.
Are you the perfect beef?
Excuse me, beef.
I would say no, that there's no way to sample a cow like on the fly out in the pasture.
I don't know. The flies sample the cows all the time.
That's true. They do. The flies do sample them. But then I saw this video of cows have like 4 stomachs, right? And cows are basically a way we turn photosynthesis into protein, right? They turn grass into protein. That's
it's a unnecessarily complicated process because not only do they have 4 stomachs, but they also use their mouth a couple times in the process.
Pretty gross,
They're
man.
like, stomach, throw it up, chew it again, up, down it goes. How many times do they throw it up and chew it again? I don't know. Doesn't matter. They chew it up, they swallow it again, and then I guess now it's time for a second stomach.
I just want to remind you that one of the hosts here is borderline hungover. So just, can we chill on the chewing of the cud?
You said you don't get hungover.
Well, I typically don't, but I mind my P's and Q's, right?
Well,
let's not push the limits here.
Now you have an instruction manual for what to do if something happens and you do get hungover.
So apparently cows, when they're doing this process, whatever it is, it can create gas, I guess probably methane. It gives them a little bloat, and they can bloat. Ashley, they get all bloated.
Tell me about it.
And then we should watch one of these videos. No joke. They have this little apparatus. This might get a little physically gross here. This might be some cow body horror here. It's like a screw, right? It's like a screw with a middle bit. They screw it into the cow.
Just like through the skin, straight into the guts.
Yeah, like me trying to like drill into a like drywall without drilling a pilot hole first, like that kind of thing. Like they just screw this into the side of the cow. No joke. And then there's a ring in the middle, and they pull that out, and then the cowlet goes and deflates. I'm assuming you could probably light that on fire too, which I'm surprised I haven't seen in a video. Don't try that if you're.
Well, that's how you get the perfect beef.
Only the perfect beef will light a blue flame. So I saw this. When I saw that, Ashley, I thought, oh my God, that is disgusting. They did that to that cow. How do I get one of these for myself? Like that could be a spa treatment that I just deflate me, and I'd be like, oh.
Just wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, I'm a little bit puffy, and then just push the button, and then.
There are times you could use a good deflating, right? There's times when
it is true.
Yeah, that happens. Oh, speaking of which, positive feedback on yesterday's episode of the podcast. People liked that we talked about the breathing exercise for box breathing, right? And that reminded me of something. I don't know why I was thinking about it, but it reminded me of something I learned about breathing that I learned way later in life. Like someone was just talking about. We were talking about running, if I recall correctly. And they were like, just breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. It's like, I hate breathing through my nose because I feel like I'm not getting any air through my nose. And I'm doing that like a sniff or whatever. And they said something like really basic that changed the way I think about breathing. They go, that's because you're breathing up through your nose.
What's that mean?
Right. Exactly. I go, what do you mean? Yes, I'm breathing up through my nose. And they were like, well, think about like the human skull, right? When you see the human skull, there's no up. It's just a hole in the middle of the face. So you can try this while you're listening to this podcast. Once again, this is our breathing week. Instead of breathing up through your nose, just imagine you're breathing into your face, like from the front of your face to the back of your head, or parallel with your tongue, if that makes sense. Like breathe into your face, and you breathe entirely differently that way. And I was like in my 30s, and I was like, how come I never did this before or knew about this? It fundamentally changes the way I breathe through my nose.
Breathing is weird. You do it your entire life and someone says something and you're like, wait, what? And it changes the way that you've done something for decades without even having to think about it. I will say though, one thing you can do, Bernie, if you're practicing this horizontal breathing through your nose, and because this is for running, right? Best part, if you think about it, you don't even really have to do much. What you do is you just flare your nostrils, right? Treat them like wind scoops. Lean your head back just a little bit, just to get that nice airflow, and then just like run forward. You don't even have to do anything. You don't even the air will do it for you. It just woof straight in there and then down into your lungs.
See, the problem with that though is that might be too much air.
Air scoops.
Then you're risking needing a deflation after.
So what you do to run is you tilt your head back just a little bit. You flare the nostrils, you go forward as fast as you can, and then you hit the deflate button in your belly button.
No, then you just visit the Facebook headquarters and have Mark Zuckerberg deflate you. Psst, and he's like, "You're the perfect beef. You're my little perfect beef." It's weird.
It's just weird.
It's
just weird.
Just weird dudes. Weird dudes. What else is the news going on? I wanted to talk about, you had a topic that I feel like we have to qualify big time before we talk about it.
I did. Have you been following this? There's this saga going on at the moment of an airport search that led to, like, someone used a duress passcode to wipe their phone, and now they're being charged over it.
Can I pause you for a second on this note? Because
please.
There's a sensitive topic involved with this as I've looked further into it. So let me talk about this other thing really, really quickly, and then we can talk about that at the end of the podcast with disclaimers and warnings if people want to drop out. The news that I want to talk about from yesterday was the Fed decided they were not going to raise rates, even though the new chair of the Fed, the Federal Reserve in America, said they were going to go really hard on inflation. And I think it's interesting, even if you don't have the stock app that you use on your phone and don't have any stocks in there, if it's an iPhone, you can still look at the default, which should be Dow Jones and NASDAQ should at least be the defaults, I think, if you've never opened that app before. You can actually see the drop off, like as people started to sell when they said they weren't going to be raising rates, even though it had been priced in, which is weird for not raising rates. Honestly.
Right. I guess I'm a little bit confused by that. Were they expecting the rates to then go down, and the fact that they didn't go down?
Do you remember we talked before about bonds, when bonds were going up and it was like the borderline crisis? Well, now we're like way above that level because now we're at a 19-year high on bond yields. So the bond market started punishing the Fed basically for not going hard on inflation and just reconfiguring their investments. And then we saw an investment drop off as well. So it's been a hard week out there in investment world. But I wanted to bring that up.
And bonds matter because that's basically the government's debt, right?
Yeah, or loans to the government is probably a better way to say it. Yeah.
Okay. And then you get in weird situations where the interest rate gets too high on them?
Yes. Well, it's not good for the government to have those interest rates going up and up and up, right?
Right.
Because that makes a more critical situation for basically
they theoretically have to pay back at some point.
Everything slid. The dollars slid, the market slid, everything went down yesterday. And then we even had 3 dissenting opinions in the Fed as well. Anyway, this is just interesting stuff to me, but I wanted to bring it up because it was
something to keep an eye on anyway.
You can actually, if you open your stock app, you can probably see where it happened. Okay, now you want to talk about the Graphene OS, the phone thing. Why don't you explain the situation? I'll explain qualifier here.
Okay, so there was a situation where a U.S. citizen was coming back from abroad. They were coming into the country in Atlanta, and Border Control basically took the guy's phone, and they said, last I heard, is that he said he was denied a lawyer and all these things. They took his phone. They repeatedly demanded that he unlock the phone. He refused to do so. Eventually, he gave them a passcode, which they input, and the phone wiped itself.
Which on iOS, you can have a passcode. Like you can set your phone that after, I think, 3 attempts, it starts to lock you out, and then for timeout. And then after 10 attempts, it wipes the phone completely.
Yes.
And it's gone. I think that still exists on the
iPhone.
iPhone.
I think you can set that.
But this one was specifically like an emergency code to put in, and it wipes your phone.
Yeah, and which is something that I hadn't really realized existed. I guess it's a feature of this Graphene OS, which is an OS that can run on, I believe, Android-based phones for people who are big on privacy. And so in that sense, this is a really interesting story because it means that the OS did exactly what it was intended to do in that scenario.
Well, it's really interesting because the phone is something you have that could very easily incriminate you on a lot of different things, right? If you were up to something. And it's interesting to have this conversation because yesterday Fauci appeared before Congress and pled the fifth, which now is like, it doesn't even serve the purpose, I feel like, that it was originally intended to serve, where you don't want to self-incriminate. Now when people hear it, they're like, nah, got him, you know? It's
right,
like,
that's like, that just means that they're guilty and they don't want to say so.
So here's the caveat with this thing. With the guy that was coming into the U.S. citizen coming back to the U.S., and they went to search his phone. I looked a little bit further into it. I thought, okay, what's on the phone that they want to find? What are they looking for? They were charging him or alleging that he had inappropriate materials regarding minors. That's the best way that I can say that. So I do want to put a big asterisk on this conversation. We don't know. That's why people go to court. I looked further into it than when the article that you sent me. He was involved with protests, and they were targeting him as a protester of something called Cop City.
Yeah, that what I had previously read was that he is a frequent protester against this Cop City in Atlanta, which I don't know, maybe it's a training facility for police or something like that. And so he has been, over a period of time, harassed by the police, right? They don't like him. And so what it seemed like to me is what I initially read is they were looking for like material that he was involved with terrorism on the phone, or something like that, yeah. Which had me immediately go, well, he's sort of anti-cop and they the cops. And so it would make sense that they are at odds, right? And I'm not surprised that they would be harassing him as a result of his stance. The additional charges, they start to muddy the waters as to like, how do I feel about this? And I kind of feel like that's the intention.
Okay, I get what you're saying there. So we had this big conundrum here of like, do we talk about this or not talk about this? Because the technology issue and the privacy issue is different than the charges that are being alleged against the person. Obviously, we shouldn't have to say it, but I'm going to say it. Obviously, anybody who has materials like that on their phone or on their computer should go to prison for a really long time, right?
Absolutely.
But also that person should go through the normal due process, and the authorities who collect that evidence should do so in a way that follows the letter of the law so that they can be convicted. The scary part here, though, is like if something like this enters the conversation, it is so easy to not engage in the conversation.
Right. Well, it makes it so much harder to engage in the conversation because it muddied what the conversation's about. Right. It changed what the conversation is.
And so do we want to be the people who just hit eject when this kind of topic is? We're choosing to talk about it today and talk about the privacy issue, but we're making that choice. And we hope that the people who listen to this podcast as well will understand that and, react to this story themselves or look into it if they want to, based on their own internal moral compass.
Yeah, and I wonder too, like how much this very privacy forward kind of thing is going to become in the future, especially with the increasing like anti-flock sentiment. And how many people do you think got rid of their Ring doorbell cameras after that stupid Super Bowl ad that was like, we can turn on every camera in the neighborhood and find your dog?
Okay, are you asking me the question how many people did it or how many people said they were going to do it and then did it? Because those are two different things.
Those are two different things. I wonder how many people actually did it.
I think when something like that happens, I think very few people are going to throw out a multi-$100 item because of something like that. I do think it'll massively affect how people purchase them going forward, though.
True. Like now that wouldn't even be on the short list.
I'll tell you, like a social media platform that I never engaged with ever really was Snapchat. There was a moment when you had to have like every single kind of social media. There's pressure to be on everything all the time. And then when I started looking at Snapchat and started using it, it was right about the time they went to court, and it was like they delete everything after, whatever.
24 hours. That's their whole thing.
And then when they got sued, they were like, oh, yeah, here's all the records for it. It's like, oh, of course that's the case.
It's and like, wait, what do you mean?
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, yeah, it's like I don't want to get involved with that at all. So that was like a going forward thing. If I had a active Snapchat presence, like with stories back when it wasn't all just for texting. It was like there was stories started on Snapchat, right?
I'm not sure if stories started on. I know that was like one thing that they were trying to do to, I guess, like increase it beyond the like, here's your puppy dog filter photo for today.
But that was stories.
Then they started, and then they also started doing like stuff with brands that could last like longer than 24 hours, like these sort of like curated feeds of stuff. Which I thought dramatically changed sort of what Snapchat was all about. And then they went with remember the round glasses they did?
Yeah. They were like the predecessor to the Meta glasses. Yeah.
So they've tried a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but the dog filters and stuff that Those crazy filters, I associate those with stories on Snapchat. Anyway, long story short, just people make those decisions, I think, going forward. All right, Ashley, who's going to be deciding our fate going forward?
All right. I want to shout out to Trash Tag and Dominic for deciding we're the perfect beef. And for sponsoring this episode of our show at patreon.com/morningsomewhere and roosterteeth.com.
Perfect beef. All right, well, that does it for us today. July 30th, 2026. We will be back talking tomorrow. We hope you will be here as well.
Bye, everybody.